LeBron James has said he's never seen a more dominant duo on the basketball court than Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant, consecutive titles for the Lakers. If you ask the Miami Heat, LA's current duo of LeBron James and Anthony Davis, well, they ain't bad either. In Game 2, becoming the first pair of Lakers teammates since Shaq and Kobe to each score more than 30 in a finals game. Now down 0-2, Miami will try and turn the series around tonight in Game 3. Mark Schwartz has more on what feels like an impossible mountain to climb.
First, they lost their leading postseason scorer. Next, their most dynamic defender and rebounder was writhing in agony. Overmatched twice by a favored Lakers team that is bigger, deeper, and gaining confidence, many have already counted Miami out.
We don't give a what everybody else thinks. If you want something badly enough, you'll figure it out.
We know what type of guys we have in our locker room. We have some high-level competitors.
The Heat won't make excuses. They're too busy trying to make history.
Our group is extremely stubborn, persistent, and we just need to figure out how to overcome this opponent.
We're going to continue to fight until the clock hits zero. No matter who's on the floor, all the way down the line. With our roster, our DNA is guys that fight and compete.
The undermanned Heat say they need to play a perfect game to slay Goliath. But when you look into their eyes and listen to their words, you get the sense they think they can do it.
If we didn't think we could, we shouldn't be here.
We're gonna fight, and we're gonna ride with this thing till the wheels fall off.
I love Jimmy. He is a supreme competitor. You can't define him by any analytic because he's going to compete.
Pat Riley demands that his team is the nastiest, toughest, most disliked, and hardest working team in the league. And no one embodies the Godfather's gospel like 40-year-old three-time champ Udonis Haslem, whose scathing speech Friday night got everyone's attention.
Play harder, empty the tanks. That's what he said, play harder. That's what it's gonna take for us to win a championship.
Jimmy Butler's gutty 45 minutes in Game 2 featured a career-high 13 assists. Butler said he has even more to give if his team needs it.
Whatever it takes to win. If you guarantee me a win with me playing 48 minutes, I'll take it.
For much more, Stephen A. Smith joins us now live from Los Angeles. Stephen A., you just heard the news that Adebayo is out. Dragic is still hoping to play. What kind of dire straits are the Heat in this series with Game 2 just hours away?
Well, they're in dire straits simply because even if all of those guys were healthy, they'd still be in dire straits. The reality of the situation is that they are the inferior team. They don't have an answer for LeBron James or an Anthony Davis, let alone the combination of both. If Goran Dragic ends up not playing, even though I do think that'll be a loss because he's been playing exceptionally well, Kendrick Nunn can ball. He can put the ball in the hole, and they certainly need all the offense that they can get. Kelly Olynyk is no replacement for Bam Adebayo, particularly against these Lakers. So obviously Adebayo is a huge, huge loss, but in the end, what it comes down to is this. There's no matchup for Anthony Davis. There's no matchup for LeBron James. And because you're the Miami Heat and you damn well know there's no matchup for either player, let alone the combination of the two, your only hope is to key on them and to dare anybody else for the Lakers to beat you, which means that it comes down to Lakers reserves and other, secondary players being able to hit perimeter shots. If they miss them, the series could be interesting. If they make them, the series is over Tuesday night.
So you're calling a sweep if this is the way this plays out?
If the Lakers hit shots the way that they did, if they hit perimeter shots the way that they did in Game 1, there is absolutely positively nothing that the Miami Heat can do. They will be swept.
It is scary, too. You're seeing the best of Anthony Davis, and we have yet to see the best of LeBron James. He doesn't have to be when
participating in the postseason, and they were.
Yeah, but
that's it. That could actually be a benefit. His
exactly.
First time in 9 years.
It may be. But when last seen, you have to go. The real LeBron hasn't been seen since the playoffs of the previous season.
Let me ask you this question. Aren't you one of those guys that, for the most part, believes that injury should not take away the mantle? In other words, if you injured and you weren't playing, then let's see what you have when you come back.
It depends. It's a unique circumstance.
What's the unique?
We've never seen a guy this deep into his career still among the best players in the game ever. LeBron. So if he hasn't been his best self in over a year
wait a minute. But the last time we saw this brother in the playoffs, we know what he did. And the last time we saw him during the regular season, when he was playing, the Lakers were the 4th seed in the West, and then he goes down and they collapse.
So did Lonzo go down.
Lonzo, but really,
yes.
In this conversation, we gonna bring up Lonzo. Really,
Lonzo had a tremendously positive effect on that team.
Listen, he had a positive effect, but he wasn't the difference maker. He was a contributor. We get it. Okay. I understand. Come on, man. How are we gonna? I'm sitting there. You got me. I'm mad at you now. You got me sitting here defending LeBron James like this. How can we sit up here and strip him of his supremacy because he got injured?
Let's back up for a second. I want to table Antetokounmpo because that's a legit argument. I want to focus on Kawhi.
Okay.
Kawhi Leonard, I thought, when last healthy, if you can't strip a guy when he's injured, before Kawhi got hurt in San Antonio, there were plenty of people, and I was one of them, who thought he was the second best player in the world, not KD. Kawhi, because Kawhi's defense was on its own level, and then suddenly his offense, while not quite as good as LeBron or KD's, was on their level. He was 3rd out of 3 if you want to compare him, but all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute, Kawhi has MVP-level offense? To go with that defense, a proven champion. So when he got back from injury, let's see how he played. Regular season, he was an elite player. Playoffs, he was a monster.
LeBron is 34, going 35 years old, if I remember correctly, or whatever. He comes back, okay, we understand that the Lakers had their struggles or whatever. I'm talking about 8 straight trips to the final, the way that he balled, how he made others better around him. Numbers didn't dip. And, oh, by the way, the old man with LeBron James, who got more hair issues than me, by the way. I just want to state that for the record, okay? He has more hair issues than me. I'm 50. All right, he knows I got an excuse.
Okay.
I don't know about him.
Now
but let me
you're
tell you
poking fun at LeBron.
Of course. Okay, yes, I am. Oh, far be it from me to do that. It's all love, LBJ. It's all love. Here's the deal. Let's look at this. The last few games, Max, since February. Let me just throw this at you. 33, 31, 27, 27, 31, 30, 36, 29, 33, 25, 29, 23,
You agree
27.
that scoring is not the only important thing,
I totally
right?
agree with that.
Oh,
what I'm saying to you is this. All I'm saying is we did not look at LeBron James and see such a precipitous drop-off. What I'm saying is, can we not trust this brother that he's in elite physical condition?
No, this is what I mean about disrespectful. I'll believe it when I see it. LeBron James hasn't been the best version of himself, which he saves for the playoffs, since the playoffs over a year ago.
Right.
Kawhi Leonard,
he don't deserve that.
Just destroyed the Greek freak and everyone else in his way.
From you?
No.
Oh, I forgot. Who I'm listening to. Mr. Cliff with Tom Brady. My bad. You don't respect the greatness that people record, Max.
Who's the best quarterback in football right now?
Patrick Mahomes.
There you go.
You guys are bringing it right now. We're going to revisit this later in the show, okay?
Let's do it. I mean, this is blasphemy, man.
But Kawhi's averaging almost 30 points. He's doing it efficiently. By the way, also with rebounds and assists, 7 boards, 5 assists, but also 2 steals and a block on average per game, because when LeBron decides to play defense and blah, 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 and he's a great defensive player. I think LeBron's an all-time great defensive player when he chooses to play defense. He ain't Kawhi Leonard on defense. And then, Stephen A., there's this. Why is it really that guys like you and me, other than over the course of their career, LeBron has more value than Jordan because he's played much longer at a high level. But at their peak, Jordan was better than LeBron. Not only do the numbers say that, but Stephen A. Smith, the real reason is, if they're on kind of equalish teams and the money's on the line and it's Game 7, even though Jordan didn't go Game 7, and they played 100 times, you and me don't believe LeBron would get MJ even one time with the money on the line. MJ had
But Kawhi Leonard is no MJ.
MJ had that thing in him. I'm not claiming Kawhi is MJ. Doc Rivers is going overboard because that's his guy. But Kawhi doesn't care. Like, you've made the point before, LeBron doesn't like it on the free throw line at the end of games. LeBron's considering things like, it's a lot to live up to.
Kawhi has money from the free throw line now.
Kawhi Leonard doesn't have a pulse. It doesn't change. It's unbelievable. And so if it's close and they've played head-to-head one time in a high-profile game and Kawhi's team won, by the way, doing all this without Paul George. You bring up the fact 5-1, 5-2. They lost to Utah. They lost to Phoenix. The Lakers only have the one loss to the Clippers. LeBron has had the services of Anthony Davis the
but
entire season.
You're looking at
who's also an MVP caliber
You're
player.
looking at everything, and I get that. And I also have to take into account Paul George ultimately coming back, because we keep forgetting Paul George is a star, and Paul George is a monster himself, and he's going to elevate the Clippers. But I would like to add this. I'm telling you right now, the way LeBron is looking right now and the way he's talking, I like it because I see a man that's saying, all right, y'all, I'm back. And by the way, I'm healthy. Let me put a stop to all of this, which is what I wanted him to do opening night. He didn't do it, but he's doing it now. I believe it will continue. I believe that the Lakers are going to win the chip. That's what I believe.
Long as when Kawhi checks in, we don't see from LeBron. Oh,
right.
man.
That's right.
And that was before Kawhi knew what he was doing.
It better not happen. Because when it comes to the Lakers and Clippers, I know what the Clippers are, and I know they're a better team collectively. They're a better team.
Max, you think LeBron's been the most impressive Laker, right?
You should be able to overcome LeBron and AD. That's why I got my eyes on this. This is what it's going to come down to.
LeBron has played out of his mind great. The fact that he's in year 17 doing this
He's phenomenal.
Is so far beyond anything we've ever seen from an athlete this advanced in their career in any sport, because no one in their 17th year ever came close to this in basketball. No one. It's amazing. AD has played, you could make an argument he's the MVP. Danny Green has been great. I love me some Danny Green. Dwight Howard is the one that surprised me the most and impressed me the most based on where we perceived he was in his career versus how he has played.
He shot perfect in 2 games this season. 8 for 8 from the field in 1 game they won, 7 of 7 from the field in another. Other than that, he didn't do much offensively. Every other game, he's been limited to 3 shots or less.
Anticipated NBA seasons in recent memory. So let's take a look at some of the favorites entering the season according to Caesars Sportsbook. Giannis is favored to win MVP. The Bucks and Lakers are expected to win their conferences, with the Lakers favored to bring home the NBA crown. On that note, we bring in former NBA player Matt Barnes. So good to have you with us.
Good to be back.
See you, bro.
Guys, I got a bunch of topics I want to get through here. I'll start with you, Stephen A. NBA MVP. Are you taking LeBron or the field?
I'm rolling with LeBron James. I think the fact that he hasn't played since April after going to 8 straight NBA finals, I think the level of hunger that he's going to have with him is going to be greater than at any time in his career since the first title when they beat Oklahoma City. I think his level of hunger is palpable to that at this particular moment in time. To have a guy like Anthony Davis,
Steph was the best duo trio at one point. Who do you think's the best duo? Would you take LeBron, AD, or the field?
The field, this is an easy one. As great as LeBron and AD will be, LeBron has to pick and choose spots now throughout the season. Kawhi is the reigning and defending Finals MVP. This year, he will be the first player ever to win the Finals MVP for 3 separate teams, his 3rd team. The history of the league has been the most unstoppable forces are 2 attack dog 2-way wings who can score and defend at an elite level. Paul George, before he got hurt, was a top 5 MVP candidate last year. When all was said and done and the smoke settled, when the smoke cleared, we saw that the actual MVP, when you take the entirety of the season and postseason, was Kawhi. They're both on the same team, on a real team that played together as a team with a great coach. That's the best duo in the NBA.
I disagree. I emphatically disagree. It's LeBron and AD all the way. Let me be very, very clear. I don't think Kawhi Leonard's better than either one of them. And I love Kawhi. And I think Kawhi's a top 5 talent in the league. He's a superstar. I saw what he did. I'm going to say it again. If Kevin Durant were healthy, Toronto's done in 5.
No question.
They've done in 5.
Agreed.
Okay? So we can talk about Kawhi Leonard all we want to. And let me tell you,
they got a better squad.
Time. I apologize. Not only am I saying they would have lost with Kevin Durant, if Kevin Durant wasn't healthy and was out the whole series, but Clay were healthy, they still would have beat Toronto, probably in 6 games. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And I'm telling you something right now. This is the thing that I keep bringing up, Matt. LeBron's 6'9", 260, dog. Anthony Davis, 6'11". And by the way, not just points, rebounds, but block shots and can defend 4 different positions. You talk about Paul George, who is a star. You talk about Kawhi Leonard. I got news for you. Tell me who guarding them. Because these are not just guards or something like that. No. This is LeBron. It's 260.
Kawhi Leonard's guarding.
Kawhi Leonard guarding who? Let me ask you
Kawhi Leonard, when he was a puppy and LeBron was in his prime, won the Finals MVP for guarding LeBron.
And go look at those numbers. I'm telling you right now, because remember, D-Wade wasn't 100%.
The numbers are still great.
The numbers were still great. Nobody's stopping LeBron.
What he was then, Kawhi's better.
Nobody's stopping LeBron, and nobody's stopping Anthony Davis. The best duo in the NBA. Not only is it those two, by a damn mile. It ain't even nothing to talk about to me.
I wouldn't say mile. I love the Clippers team.
Half mile, damn it.
Okay.
All right.
I love the Clippers team over the Lakers. When I say team, duo's got to be AD and LeBron. And I really think people sleep on how good AD is because of where the market he was in, and then he got hurt, and then he was, time management once he wanted to be traded. AD is a generational talent, someone that can do it all. I really think a big key for them this season is LeBron trusting in him and trusting in his teammates for those guys to get through the dog days of the league so he can stay fresh. And that's another reason why I don't know if LeBron will win MVP is because LeBron can't be the LeBron we've known and loved for the last 17 years, the whole entire season, and still be as effective in the playoffs.
Let me state this for the record right in front of you. There's only two ways you're going to beat the Lakers this year with LeBron and AD.
Kawhi and Paul George?
Nope. Let me finish. Only two. Nice, funny comment. But let me tell you something. Fatigue, because the Clippers are so deep, they're throwing bodies at you. They got a shot. And the only other way is the perimeter shooting of the Golden State Warriors, who don't have to deal inside with AD and LeBron because they pulling up from the parking lot. I'm talking about once Klay comes back. I'm saying once Klay comes back, with Steph Curry and Klay, oh, my God. I mean, they can beat anybody because they can shoot from the parking lot.
I'm trying to think of your excuses. I'm going to predict your excuses after the
you don't have to predict
I'm a Lakers
anything.
fan.
You can predict anything.
It's going
I'm
to be
gonna be
coaching mismatch.
Listen.
Patrick Beverly's a bad brother. What's it going to be?
Let me tell you something right now. I'm telling you right now. I'm going to say it again. Listen, I love Kawhi. That's why I don't like having the subject, because I don't like anybody thinking. I don't have profound respect for Kawhi. Kawhi Leonard ain't better than those two dudes.
News, guys. We're going to be in LA. You're going to watch the game in person, and then we'll get to debate it all.
I love it.
Kawhi Leonard's the best player in the league right now.
Molly, I'm very, very tight with a lot of Clippers.
Boston Celtics, Houston Rockets, Milwaukee Bucks, and the Clippers rounding out the top five. Max, we're going to get into, is LeBron the best player in the NBA right now? But if first you want to respond to Stephen A. about the Rockets being able to hang with the Lakers.
Yeah, I agree. Look, this is the whole way the Rockets are built is only threes and free throws, really, right? Like everything in the paint or from behind.
Except for Russell Westbrook.
Well, right.
Because I'm saying D'Antoni gave him the license.
Sure, because it's Westbrook. But the point is they play so efficiently that even if you're right, you have to pull that back a little, move the ball a little bit more, and hit mid-ranges when they give them to you just at a high enough percentage, all that stuff. In order to win, you may be right. But that system is based on the fact that if you get cold, you may lose any one game, but you're taking so many bites at the apple that you're likely to win most of the games, right? That philosophy may apply to championships, too. A lot of seasons it won't work, but if you keep running it out there and running those odds, eventually you're going to hit one of those seasons. And so maybe it's this one. I agree they have a puncher's chance, as they normally do. The Lakers, is LeBron James the best player in basketball? He is playing the best basketball right now. That does not make him the best player. He lost his crown to Kawhi when he was hurt, didn't make the playoffs. Remember, James Harden's the best regular season player usually. Then LeBron reminds us in the playoffs, no, it's me. But without him there, at his age, Kawhi stepped in and won it all. LeBron's going to have to take that crown from Kawhi in the playoffs.
Well, here's why I think your position is utterly ridiculous in that regard, because you brought up injury. The fact of the matter is that we didn't look at LeBron and see, oh, he can't play no more. He's no longer that dude. What we saw is a guy that went down with the groin injury, missed 17 straight games, and then a couple of more thereafter before ultimately sitting down for the season, played a grand total of 55 games, the lowest of his career, because the Lakers were out of the playoff picture. That's what we saw. We didn't see a guy in his 16th year and go like this, it's over for him. We didn't see that. And so my point is, if we didn't see that from him, just because Kawhi ascended while LeBron was gone, first to injury, and then because his team didn't make the playoffs, doesn't mean that LeBron lost the crown as an individual player. What we wanted to see was, coming into the season, like I said, I had LeBron as the league MVP. I had the Lakers winning it all. I think I'm on course with the MVP thing. Right now, LeBron James is the MVP
so
of the
far.
NBA right now. And what I'm saying is, when you look at him and what he's bringing to the table, 27, 8, and 8. Damn, that sounds pretty familiar. That's pretty much what he's
Let me
always
put it like this.
Even though the shooting percentage up to 51%. 34% shooting from three-point
No, but
range.
he's conducting the whole team. When he's on the bench, they fall apart.
But the reason why I would put, well, again, you just made my point.
Yeah.
Not just because they fall apart, but also because what have you religiously said is LeBron James' greatest asset?
Passing.
The fact that he runs the show.
Yeah.
You've always said that.
But
That's what he's doing.
Let's put it like this.
That's
Molly.
what he's doing.
And you tell me if you agree with this one, okay? We're usually looking for disagreement, but here I'll see if I get consensus.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying LeBron had the crown. You're not going to lose that to injury. Kawhi got a little interim championship in LeBron's absence. I'm saying LeBron had the crown. Injury, when you can't show when it matters most over almost a 2-year period that you're the best and Kawhi's now in his prime, no, Kawhi took that crown. You're saying you don't believe Kawhi's champ till you see him take it from LeBron. I'm saying I don't believe of the NBA. I don't believe LeBron is champ, meaning number one, till I see him beat Kawhi.
Yeah,
if they play each other in the Western Conference Finals, we get our answer.
Yeah, I get it, but what I'm saying to you is so ridiculous about your statement right now is that I'm taking your history of how you praise LeBron in collaboration with LeBron's history of going to 8 straight NBA Finals, and you're trying to tell me the 1 year that he gets injured and he's not in the playoffs because of it. Because of that 1 year, automatically Kawhi is crowned.
No.
I'm talking about in terms of him as an individual player.
Stay right there.
That's not right.
Stay right there. I'd understand that if Kawhi was okay in the playoffs and his team won. Kawhi had an historical playoff run. From beginning to end, one of the best we've ever seen. It was almost Jordan-esque. He had series early on that were like, oh, my God, each and every game. He single-handedly beat the Sixers in Game 7.
We saw LeBron have comparable numbers when losing in the finals.
Right, but not recently.
For Miami and LA to be in the finals for obvious reasons that have absolutely nothing to do with basketball. Nevertheless, that is not what happened because even though they're in the NBA finals, the bottom line is everybody's in a bubble in Central Florida as opposed to South Beach or La. Hooray for the two teams.
Okay, but we got to celebrate.
But it doesn't do much for me.
Pretty good run by this.
Well, you go ahead and do that.
We need you to join in a bit. As we mentioned earlier in the show, this team was 75-1 to win the whole thing. You wanted it for different reasons, but when did you start to believe in the Miami Heat? They just seem to get better and better and better.
Well, watching them go up against the Greek Freak and the Milwaukee Bucks and the way they ran them out of the gym, the reality of the situation is that they clearly look like the better team, and we recognize that when they're hitting perimeter shots, they can beat anybody. We know about the leadership of Jimmy Butler, how he's a dog, make no mistake about it. We see the agility of the athleticism of a Bam Adebayo. But when you look at Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, certainly I'm not comparing them to Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. But in terms of these guys and their ability to shoot the basketball and to really go get it, when you see a guard tandem, the way that they're capable of playing together and what they're capable of doing from the perimeter, if they give you the kind of production that Tyler Hero gave you in Game 4 when he dropped 37, a guy like Duncan Robinson tonight, drops 5 3-pointers, hits 5 of 7 shots from the 5 of 7 shots from 3-point range. When they're doing those kind of things, you can't count them out against anybody, particularly in today's NBA. So they put everybody on notice when they were Ramrod and the Milwaukee Bucks, who were the #1 seed, that they were here and they were coming. And you sort of knew. I picked them to beat Boston in 7 games, not 6. But it's because of their moxie, their athleticism, the dog inside of their chest, the way they go after it, and the fact that the matter is they're deep and they play together. And that's why they're going to the NBA Finals. Now they're about to run into King James. We'll see what happens.
Coach Spoelstra runs the show, but as John pointed out in his interview with Bam, there's something about this team where it's like the DNA of Pat Riley, right? It kind of goes down from him, his ethic and everything he did in his coaching.
Well, you got to put in the work. That's number one. Number two, you can't have any kind of fear or fright inside of you. If you've got that kind of mentality, you can't play for Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra. They're simply not going to tolerate it. There's a standard that they've set from the days of Alonzo Mourning with Tim Hardaway, right on up to D Wade with Shaq and Alonzo, right on up to D Wade, LeBron, and Chris Bosh. You've got to have ability, but you also have to have heart. You can't have any fear for anybody. And if you recall, there was some reticence on the part of LeBron James when he had first arrived in Miami because he was a bit reluctant to take the proverbial bull by the horn until they lost in the finals to Dallas. And D. Wade says this has to be your team. And then LeBron James came back on a mission and just showed the world that he was the best in the world. And ever since then, he's never been the same. He's going to be on the Mount Rushmore of basketball when all is said and done. As far as I'm concerned, he's already there. But when you look at the Miami Heat in terms of their culture, they're about championships and they're about doing it the old-fashioned way. Nobody's going to outwork us. Nobody's going to scare us. Nobody is going to sit up there and punk us. We are coming. We're ready for war at any particular moment in time. And if you're not that kind of guy made from that cloth, you simply can't play in South Beach for Pat Riley. That's the guy. That's the kind of mentality that he has, which is why it was easy for Dwayne Wade to sit up there and tell a guy like Pat Riley, excuse me, this dude, Jimmy Butler, that's with the Philadelphia 76ers right now, not only do you take him away from Philadelphia, from Joel Embiid and a Ben Simmons, but you bring him here in South Beach with these brothers that you got on this squad, you could very well be in the NBA Finals, and that's exactly where they are right now.
Everything you just said suggests that those laying the line on this next series are dead wrong. They're 3+1 underdogs to take on the Lakers. I think you like their chances better than that.
Well, I like their chances, but I'm not saying it's better than that. Let's not get a little bit beside ourselves here. They got to go up against LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I love Bam Adebayo. He was critical of himself after the Game 5 loss. Came out here and played lights out tonight with 32 and 14, a career high of 32. We saw what Jimmy Butler did in terms of chipping in his 22. We saw Tyler Hero come out and hit a 3 and ultimately score 19 points. We saw Duncan Robinson be the specialist that he is. But you're going up against a Los Angeles Lakers squad that does have an elite defense with serviceable parts capable of hitting three-point shots. You've got a guy in Rajon Rondo, who's also a champion and has been playing stellar basketball as far as I'm concerned. And then you add to that the best duo in basketball in LeBron James and Anthony Davis. They're supposed to be the favorites. Miami is not supposed to beat them. And as far as I'm concerned, the great chance that Miami has is that all the odds are stacked against them, and appropriately so, because there's no way in hell that they're supposed to beat LeBron James and Anthony Davis.